This evening, first, no one is above the law. Jagdeo's stern warning. PPP General Secretary Dr. Bharrat Jagdeo has a clear message for lawbreakers, no matter their political ties, but with calls for reform and civic education becoming compulsory. Is this a turning point for Guyana? Plus, busted. CANU seized over 11 kilos of cocaine. 3 men are in custody and a wanted man has turned himself in. But who else is connected to this massive drug bust in the heart of Georgetown? Also, opposition slams government's choice of Canadian expert. The opposition wants an independent international body to investigate the death of 11-year Adriana Younge, not a Canadian expert handpicked by the government. Is transparency being compromised? Meanwhile, new highway, new concerns. President meets with farmers. President Irfan Ali sits down with East Bank farmers to discuss the Craig to Land of Canaan highway project. Compensations options are on the table, but will they be enough? And tensions flare in Kashmir, drone strikes and ceasefire violations. India accuses Pakistan of violating the ceasefire and launching drone attacks across its western border. How will the region respond as the situation heats up? Stay tuned, these stories and more tonight on Headline News Update. Welcome to today's broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for May 9th, 2025. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party, Dr. Bharrat Jagdeo, has made it clear that individuals who break the law will face strong enforcement actions regardless of their political affiliation. Speaking at his weekly press conference at Freedom House on Thursday, Dr. Jagdeo addressed recent violent incidents in which businesses were attacked and over 24 people were charged with inciting public terror. He stressed that the PPP will not protect lawbreakers even if they claim party affiliation. His announcement came after some of the protesters were said to be 10-day workers employed by the government.
Whether they're PPP or not, I support strong enforcement action against anyone who broke the law. I support that. So a few people, very few, may be caught up in the protests unfairly. But the majority of those people who are charged and before the court, there are video evidence of their transgressions, them breaking the law, looting or harming people.
Dr. Jagdeo revealed government plans to offer training and possibly implement compulsory schooling for inmates to support long-term solutions.
Even when they go into prison, we have to try to rehabilitate them, like we're talking about compulsory schooling in prison and all of that. And the idea is to catch them even before they get into prison.
The Vice President further added that civic education will be introduced as a compulsory subject in schools to help shape more informed and responsible citizens. He emphasized the need to steer misguided individuals, particularly youth, towards becoming productive members of society. The new subject, he said, will cover key topics including the rights and responsibilities of citizens, the Constitution of Guyana, the importance of democracy and freedom, patriotism, broader integrity, and moral education.
I think if we can go back to that, to get the religious communities to come up with the common things in the three major faiths in Guyana, which is, when you look at it, it's basically they all want the same thing. And combine that with citizens' education, the rights and responsibilities of a citizen, the Constitution of Guyana and their rights according to the Constitution, maybe, the value of democracy and the need to preserve freedom, patriotism, the integrity of our borders. All of these can be combined along with what is distilled from the three major faiths in one area, in one subject, which could be a compulsory subject in school, with the hope that we would incubate better citizens at that level.
He also proposed incorporating common values from Ghana's 3 major religions into the syllabus, provided religious leaders agree on shared principles.
This is something that we are open to introducing in the school system. So hopefully we be able to have more patriotic people.
Dr. Jagdeo's announcement followed recent violent protests over the death of 11-year-old Adriana Younge, which resulted in looting, property damage, and dozens of individuals being charged with terrorism. The Vice President expressed hope that civic education would lead to a better nation. In other news, 3 men are now in custody after agents from the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit, CANU, intercepted a car carrying more than 11 kilograms of cocaine during an operation on Wednesday, May 7, 2025. While acting on a tip-off, CANU officers stopped a motor car at Lambert and Sussex Street, Georgetown. A search of the vehicle uncovered 10 brick-like parcels of suspected cocaine, weighing over 11 kilograms. The driver, 47-year-old mechanic Colin Alfred, and 28-year-old Terence Benting were arrested on the spot and taken to CANU headquarters. A wanted bulletin was later issued for Jason Lloyd de Freitas, also known as White Boy, in connection with the bust. He has since turned himself in. Meanwhile, on Thursday, the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit also issued a wanted bulletin for Roger de Freitas, whose last known address is Phase 2, Section A, North Farm, East Bank, Demerara. He is wanted for questioning in connection with trafficking in narcotics. Investigations are ongoing. On a different note, 5 children left motherless in Linden will finally receive some justice after 44-year-old Michael London was sentenced to life in prison on Thursday for the 2017 murder of his wife, Shanika Elliott London. Michael London, a pork knocker, brutally stabbed his wife multiple times in their bedroom at their Central Amelia's Ward squatting area home in the presence of one of her daughters. 37-year-old mother of 5 collapsed outside a neighbor's house and later died at the Mackenzie Hospital. High Court Judge Justice Simone Morris Ramlal handed down the sentencing on Thursday, May 8, 2025. Following the stabbing, London fled the scene but was shot in the leg by police during a confrontation in a forested area at Mablissa-Soustike Highway. A post-mortem examination confirmed that Shanika died from multiple incised wounds. The accused initially claimed infidelity as his motive, but family members of the victim said she had suffered years of physical abuse. London was first remanded to prison on May 22, 2017, following his court appearance at the Wales Magistrates Court. Stick around when we return. Opposition rejects government's hiring of Canadian homicide expert in Adriana Younge's case. An ARC condemns vulgar song depicting Hindu goddess Lakshmi.
Mother's Day, Digicel is stirring up the love and cooling things down.
Imagine surprising mom with a brand new fully stocked fridge.
Digicel is making it a reality.
You can win one of 4 fully stocked fridges
worth over $500,000.
Just top up with $1,000 or more for a chance to win weekly. It's that easy.
Top up today. The more you top up, the more chances you have to win.
Happy Mother's Day from Digicel. Better connected.
GCOM is currently conducting a national registration exercise. Who can register? Anyone who will be 14 years or older by June 30, 2025 and is a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, naturalization, or is a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more. It is the civic duty and legal responsibility of all Guyanese who meet the eligibility criteria to apply for registration. By doing so, you would be ensuring that you are issued a national identification card and be included in the official list of electors for future elections, providing you meet all eligibility criteria. This registration exercise will end on May 30, 2025. You need to apply for a transfer if you now live at another address since you were registered. For more information, contact the GCOM on 2250-277-9 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. How smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for do a surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. The opposition has rejected the government's decision to hire Canadian homicide expert to assist in the investigation into the death of 11-year-old Adriana Younge, calling instead for a reputable international organization to lead the probe. Opposition leader Aubrey Norton said the move lacks transparency and accused both President Irfan Ali and the Guyana police force of attempting a cover-up. He expressed distrust in the authorities' ability to fairly handle the investigation, citing early missteps and misleading public statements by the police. Retired Canadian police officer Leonard Mukoshin, with over 30 years of investigative experience, has been identified as the expert to be brought in. However, Norton said the involvement of a single individual handpicked by the government is unacceptable. Norton also questioned the finding of the autopsy, which determined Adriana drowned, arguing that the manner of death still needs to be properly investigated. He stressed that only an independent, internationally respected body can restore public trust in the process. In other news, the Ethnic Relations Commission, ERC, has strongly condemned a recently circulated song by local performer Baby Skello for portraying the Hindu goddess Lakshmi in a vulgar and blasphemous manner. Calling the depiction sexually explicit and deeply offensive to the Hindu community, the ERC stated that such content has no place in a society built on respect and religious tolerance. The Commission emphasized that while freedom of expression is a right, it must be exercised responsibly and with regard for the beliefs of others. The ERC has formally requested the removal of the song from all digital platforms be considered. Additionally, the Commission noted that legal action is being considered. It also plans to step up education campaigns and engagement with artists and media outlets to promote religious respect. The Commission reaffirmed its commitment to protecting the dignity of all religious groups in Guyana and vowed that acts of disrespect would be met with firm and lawful responses. Moving on, President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali met with farmers and landowners from the east bank of the Marara on Wednesday to discuss the upcoming construction of the Craig to Land of Canaan Highway. During the meeting, President Ali stressed the need for a fair and inclusive approach to acquiring lands along the proposed route. He assured those affected that the government is committed to addressing their concerns with transparency and balance. Several options for compensation and relocation were presented and will be further explored in a follow-up meeting with the Ministry of Legal Affairs. That session aims to finalize agreements that ensure equitable outcomes. The new highway, which will connect to the Heroes Highway, is being developed by the Ministry of Housing and Water to boost national infrastructure and improve connectivity. Don't go away after the break. A new pope for the world's 1.4 billion Catholics. Americans react to first pontiff from the U.S. And Grenada plans to abolish death penalty, seeks public input.
This Mother's Day, Digicel is stirring up the love and cooling things down.
Imagine surprising mom with a brand new fully stocked fridge.
Digicel is making it a reality.
You can win one of 4 fully stocked fridges
Worth over $500,000.
Just top up with $1,000 or more for a chance to win weekly. It's that easy.
Top up today. The more you top up, the more chances you have to win.
Happy Mother's Day from Digicel. Better connected.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. How smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services. 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for do a surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
GCOM is currently conducting a national registration exercise. Who can register? Anyone who will be 14 years or older by June 30, 2025 and is a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, naturalization, or is a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more. How to apply for registration? You must visit the GCOM registration office that is responsible for your area of residence to apply for registration or name change or correction. You must be in possession of the following source documents as might be relevant: original birth certificate or valid Guyana passport for new registration, original marriage certificate and original birth certificate in the case of a name change by marriage, original deed poll and original birth certificate in the case of a name change by deed poll, original naturalization certificate and original birth certificate or valid passport in the case of naturalization. This registration exercise will end on May 30, 2025. You need to apply for a transfer if you now live at another address since you were registered. For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-027729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. In the Caribbean, Grenada's government intends to abolish the death penalty, initiating a public consultation process to gather citizens' views. Crown Counsel Ray Thomas disclosed the plan during Grenada's Universal Periodic Review in Geneva. The last execution in Grenada occurred in 1978, and the country has maintained a moratorium since. While the Privy Council has upheld the constitutionality of the death penalty, Grenada aims to engage the public before making a final decision. In India, controlled Kashmir, the military says Pakistan has resorted to what it says are numerous ceasefire violations along the line of control, including shelling villages. India's army says Pakistan launched multiple drone attacks across India's entire western border on Thursday night and into Friday morning. Al Jazeera's Bernard Smith reports.
There's not much left to salvage from this home in Indian-administered Kashmir, destroyed by Pakistani shelling overnight on Thursday. Villages on the Indian side of the line of control have been subjected to multiple attacks by drones and other munitions, according to India's military.
It's very tense. There's been heavy shelling. We saw projectiles flying through the sky. We sheltered in our homes. It's the first time I've ever seen anything like this in my life. It was a horrible sight, and people in Jammu and Kashmir are frightened.
India's army says Pakistani troops have been responsible for a series of ceasefire violations along the line of control. Normally bustling border towns, this is Poonch, are deserted. Residents have been told to stay in their homes.
So the situation is quite serious. There are many loud sounds heard during the night. We just want peace and calm. If the government sit together and resolve things through dialogue, that would be a good thing. But if there is a war and conflict, then our countries will go back 100 years.
For Indian Kashmiri families displaced from villages along the line of control, a college has been turned into a temporary shelter. India and Pakistan have been exchanging fire since India's military targeted what it calls terrorist camps in retaliation for a deadly attack on tourists in Kashmir, which it blamed on Pakistan. Islamabad has denied involvement. It's the worst confrontation between the neighbours in more than 2 decades. Bernard Smith, Al Jazeera.
Russia's war has accelerated Kiev's reliance on the West, which is what Moscow feared. In recent months, talk of Ukraine's EU membership has shifted from if to when. Many Ukrainians are rethinking a national identity long tied to Soviet Russia. Al Jazeera's Zain Bashrafi reports.
World War II memorials still stand across Ukraine's capital. But after Russia's full-scale invasion, some are left with only scratch marks and bolt holes where Soviet symbols once were. Monuments honoring past suffering now echo the pain of a new generation. Natalia's father fought for the USSR in World War II. She says Ukraine can still take pride in that legacy and support those defending Ukraine now.
A lot of our people died. They were defending at that moment, and I'm proud of both of them. I'm proud of those people who sacrificed their lives protecting their homeland.
Others argue removing Soviet-era statues dishonors the fallen.
Look at what's happening behind me. The bust of my great-grandfather was taken away. He was taken away. I'm very afraid of who did it. This is a crime against the history of Ukraine. My grandfather defended Ukraine and Ukrainians. He is not connected to what is happening now.
For many, Ukraine's Russian past is just that, past. Ukrainian soldiers now march in London, symbols of a future bound to Europe, culturally, economically, politically, and strategically.
Ukraine emerged on a map of Europe as military power after 2022 for obvious reasons. It completely depends how soon the war is going to end. But optimistic point of view is Ukraine can get full membership in EU by 2030.
Older Ukrainians may still look to their Russian heritage, but younger generations are firmly facing West. For others, fighting Russia is about more than land. On active duty, Babai asked not to reveal his identity. A Russian Chechen orphaned at the age of 5 in the First Chechen War. He was raised by his Ukrainian neighbor. He ran an auto shop in Luhansk until he lost everything to a Russian missile.
My wife was pregnant. I was supposed to have a son. It was almost the 9th month. A rocket flew into the 5-story building. I left work, arrived back, and at that moment, I saw there was no more home and no more family. Ukraine is my second homeland, and so I'm obliged to fight for it. I understand who is to blame, and I have nothing left but revenge.
Ukraine and Russia may have a shared history, but for years, Russia has been the cause of much of the suffering here. So now Ukrainians say the future of their country is theirs to define. Zain Basravi, Al Jazeera, Kyiv.
The choice of a US-born pope has surprised many, including people in his hometown of Chicago. Al Jazeera's Patty Kalhan has more.
Bells heralded the news at Holy Name Cathedral in Chicago, and children cheered.
I think he's going to be a wonderful pope. He's going to do the best he can to lead the Catholic Church.
A bit shocked, but also a lot of optimism from U.S. Catholics.
I think the new pope should continue, promoting the peace and trying to bring countries together.
It's incredible just to think about it. I mean, I think nobody really expected it to be an American, and so it's just really, really beautiful.
That sentiment even applied to the U.S. president.
We're a little bit surprised, very happy. It's just a absolutely great honor.
But in social media posts as cardinal, the new pope criticized the administration's policies on immigration, telling the vice president that he was wrong about the teachings of Jesus. Experts expect that stance on many issues will continue.
You know, the Vatican invented diplomacy, so they're going to be very subtle, far more subtle, I think, than anyone in the current administration in the United States can be. So they will be subtle and wise, I assume. But I think they will also be strong on the issues that were mentioned: climate change, migration, immigration, worker justice, and so forth.
There are many questions about how he will deal with pressing issues like the sex abuse scandals involving priests, the role of women in the church, the treatment of LGBTQ people. But one thing seems certain: as the curtain parted and an American walked out, this was a scene many U.S. Catholics doubted they would actually see in their lifetime. Patty Culhane, Al Jazeera, Washington.
This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-minute forecast. And that's FTV2 Headline News for this Friday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. We will be off for the weekend, but you can tune in on Monday at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other and do have a wonderful weekend.